My opening statement. I demand my opening statement as the ranking member. I made a motion, which was my initial statement. That was my motion, and I demand my opening statement.
The gentleman's recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you. This could be a very open hearing about the important part of the new technology that the nation is experiencing, and certainly this White House and the government is experiencing as well. With the original hearing that we were going to have on the 24th, it was clear that we're going to have that discussion. And with new technology, the White House is not immune to this. The Bush White House used the same outlines of rules that the Clinton administration developed on retaining email. Who is entitled to a government email address, who is entitled to have a political or outside email address, the limitations on that. And it is apparent with all sorts of news that we're reading about this White House is that they're using technology that was not available during the Clinton era, was not even available when the Bush administration set forward their rules and regs on who's entitled to email access that is not official and governmental and therefore subject to records keeping. So I think it's important that we have this discussion with the White House. It's apparent that the majority in this Congress does not want to ask even a White House witness to be a part of it. In fact, they're trying to protect one White House witness from even answering questions about their record keeping. Even though we've seen in press reports that they're clearly doing things that are not in keeping with presidential records and federal records laws, before you even mention the president's ethics pledge. And, you know, it's a shame that it had to come to this, that we have to have a vote on it, but it's the intent of the chairman and this subcommittee members to do this. And so, I beg your apology, the crowd here, the witnesses, our panel here, but unfortunately, this could have been a much better hearing with a much better exchange rather than having to vote on subpoena a White House witness because the chairman didn't invite that person to this hearing. And that's before you even talk about the violation of the rules that the majority displayed when you talk about the discussion of what is permissible. I was in a hearing with archivists and a similar panel a couple weeks ago, and the chairman refused to let me ask a question that he didn't deem in keeping with the subject matter of the day. Well, the subject matter of the day is deemed by a majority memo. Under House rules, you have to get a memo 3 days in advance. We got our memo at 5 p.m. yesterday. So if my questions aren't in keeping with what you deem correct, I'm going to ask you to have a vote to disallow my questioning, because I can't determine, and my staff can't determine, and the minority staff can't determine what questions to ask when you won't even tell us what the hearing's about. And this is very frustrating. And so that's the reason why we had to have these votes today, because we could have a substantive hearing about important issues when we're talking about presidential records. Every president does the same thing. They want to make sure that they have two lines of communication, one that's subject to the history books and the other that's not. And every president's done this. Every president. It's not a Democrat thing. It's not a Republican thing. And we have to make sure that we use the power of oversight to make sure they adhere to those rules and regulations. And we have outside groups that are very interested in this as well. Some that are not traditionally conservative, some that are liberal, and some that are all across the board. So I think it's important that we have that oversight authority to make sure that we're getting an administration adhering to their ethics pledge and the laws of this land. Mr. Chavis, would you like the remainder of my time? And with that, I'd be happy to yield back the balance of my time.